Hello, my name is Caroline Olson, and today I will be discussing Sweden and how it applies to the WHO Active Aging Framework and also my major of social work. I'm going to start by giving you some background on Sweden. Sweden is located in Northern Europe on the Scandinavian peninsula. Sweden is the largest country in Northern Europe and the fifth largest in Europe. Shares land borders with Norway to the west and Finland to the northeast. A little bit about Sweden's history. Sweden's history stretches back to the Viking Age, with Swedish Vikings participating in raids and trade across Europe. Sweden formed the Kalmar Union with Denmark and Norway in 1397. However, this union was often plagued with conflict and eventually dissolved in the early 16th century. The 17th century marked Sweden's rise as a major European power. Sweden gained significant territories around the Baltic Sea. This period is often referred to as the Swedish Empire. However, by the 18th century, we saw a decline in Swedish power as it lost territories in various conflicts, notably against Russia in the Great Northern War. The 19th century was largely a period of peace and modernization for Sweden. Sweden maintained its neutrality throughout both world wars in the 20th century. In 1995, Sweden joined the European Union, and today it is a modern, prosperous, and socially progressive nation with a rich history and cultural heritage. The government of Sweden operates under a parliamentary representative democratic constitutional monarchy. This means Sweden has a monarch, currently King Carl Gustaf, who is the head of state. However, the monarch's role is primarily ceremonial and symbolic, holding no real political power. The real political power rests with the Riksdag, Sweden's parliament with 349 members. Members are elected through a system of representation in general elections held every 4 years. And the Prime Minister is the head of the government. They are nominated by the Speaker of the Riksdag and then elected by the Parliament. The current Prime Minister is Olaf Christensen. Here is a picture of the population pyramid of Sweden in 2022. This population pyramid has a beehive shape, sometimes also described as a slow growth shape. This illustrates a country with low fertility, low mortality, slow population growth, and a notable proportion of middle-aged and older adults, indicating an aging population. And this is the median age and life expectancy table. This table shows that Sweden has a high life expectancy of 83.1 years. And it suggests that on average, people in Sweden can expect to live a long life. This high life expectancy is often a good indicator of good health care, nutrition, sanitation, and overall quality of life. This table also shows Sweden has a median age of 41.1 years. This means that half of the population is older than 41 years and half is younger. A median age in the low 40s suggests a relatively mature population leaning towards an aging society compared to countries with median ages in their 20s and 30s. In combination, these two indicate that Sweden has a population where people live long lives and a significant proportion of the population is middle-aged or older, aligning with the beehive-shaped population pyramid we previously discussed. In Sweden, Social Security citizens are entitled to a national retirement pension after they retire, and they have to at least be the age 65 for a full pension or at least 60 for a reduced pension. And the level or amount depends on income and how long the employee has worked. The elderly can also receive housing supplements or maintenance support, and it really depends on one's needs. One key challenge faced by the older population in Sweden in achieving active aging is social isolation, particularly in rural areas and among those living alone. This challenge, social isolation, primarily relates to the participation and health pillars of the WHO Active Aging Framework. For the participation pillar, the framework stresses the importance of continued engagement in social, cultural, and civic life. It highlights how environments should support older individuals in maintaining social connections. And for the health pillar, social isolation can be linked to mental health issues such as depression and cognitive decline, as well as poor physical health outcomes. In Sweden, where many older adults live alone, especially older women, and in settings with long winters and limited daylight, these environmental and social barriers can make it more of a challenge in maintaining active participation. Additionally, access to transportation and community services in rural areas can be limited, which can also further isolation. Social isolation directly undermines the framework's vision of enabling older people to realize their potential for physical, social, and mental well-being through the life course and to participate in society according to their needs, desires, and capabilities. The WHO encourages policies that support intergenerational solidarity, community-based programs, and accessible public transportation, all of which help reduce isolation and foster active aging. There are several meaningful opportunities for professionals in social work field to support older adults in Sweden to achieve successful aging. The area I decided to focus on was combating social isolation and promoting participation. Many older Swedes, particularly those living alone or in rural areas, express a desire for greater social connection and community involvement. As mentioned on the previous slide, social isolation relates with the participation pillar of the WHO framework, which emphasizes social, cultural, and civic involvement. Some opportunities in the social work field to combat social isolation and to promote active participation include: 1. To facilitate community programs and social groups to bring older adults together, such as intergenerational programs and social cafes. Or another one is to organize volunteer opportunities that allow older adults to contribute to society and remain engaged. And lastly, is to advocate for age-friendly urban and rural planning that includes accessible public spaces and transportation options. Alright, that is all. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned a little more about aging in Sweden.